Hi, welcome to the Whitey White Guy Show. I'm Marty, and I don't know if I've done this before or not, but I'm gonna do a movie review for get that out of my face for Clerks II. Um, I feel like at some point I've reviewed this, but I don't recall. So anyway, Clerks II is I believe it was 10 years later follow up to the original Clerks, so you're talking circa 2004, which is hard to believe. It's been like 15 years. Kid, how old am I getting? So you have the old lineup: Jay, Silent Bob, Dante and Randall, and then Rosario Dawson and Trevor Moore join the crew. The crew. And so what happens is the quick stop burns down because of Randall's incompetence. He leaves, I think it was the coffee maker on or something. So they end up getting jobs at a Moobies, which is like a McDonald's or a Burger King. Really similar to a Burger King, I feel. Um, and it's 10 years later. They're no longer in their 20s now. They're in their 30s. What's our life about? What are we going to do with our lives? We're getting old. They're couple of single guys. They don't have kids. I think all four of them are single guys at this point. Don't have kids. Jason, Bob, Dante, and Randall. Um, Rosario Dawson is the manager or shift manager of the movies. Dante's like the assistant manager, or maybe he's the shift manager, and Randall's just one of the employees. And then Trevor Moore plays Elias, who's the 19, 20-year-old, 1-year-old kid who's never seen Tang before and is really religious and naive. Um, and so Dante is going to get married to Kevin Smith's real life wife, who plays Humana, and then they're going to go to Florida. Randall's pee pants because he's going to get left behind without his best friend. Never even asked him if he wanted to go. Um, the wife doesn't like Randall. Randall doesn't particularly care for the wife, though he's a pretty indifferent type of guy, and that creates drama. Um, but then Randall throws a donkey show for the going away party. Dante, who's had sex with Rosario Dawson, she's pregnant. He finds out. Dante spills the beans, or Randall spills the beans rather, and then the wife shows up with a cake for the party and realizes they're having an affair. And Dante's actually in love with Rosario Dawson, but because more society wants him to, he should go with the lady. And then he decides to stay, and they reopen the Quick Stop. And now Dante and Randall open the Quick Stop. Um, that's the whole movie. This isn't that good, which is a real letdown. I'm gonna say the same thing everybody says. Clerks, Mallrats, Dogma, loved it. Chasing Amy, had its moments. It's okay. Um, and I wanted to. This is what I wanted my life to be. I wanted to make movies. Didn't work out. College. Why? So, um, this is it's. There's a few chuckles. There's a few yucks. I'm a big fan of Jeff Anderson, who plays Randall. I like Brian O'Halloran. Everybody does. Jane Silent Bob can't be too upset. Nothing. Never even heard of Rosario Dawson. Um, so I was glad to see Jeff Anderson get a lot of screen time and get a lot of dialogue and character. And actually, both these guys are known more for the yucks. Had some dramatic moments. There's some redeeming qualities here. But when I went to the movie theater with my friends and I was like, I want to see Dante and Randall, I want to see Bartleby and Loki, give me the stuff from the other films. Kevin Smith was like, you're not getting any of that. But here's this other shit. Do you like this kid Trevor Moore? He plays somebody named Elias who's annoying and pointless. I wasn't a fan. But The ending of this film redeemed it to an extent because it made sense that these two guys end up buying a quick stop and starting their own business. It's like, okay, I'm glad that rounded out well. They went through trials and tribulations, but they ended up on a high note. And in the final shot, you're like, you know what? That works, man. They seem happy. They're going to do something with their lives, you know? Good for these guys. Okay. So I'm okay with it. But then when like Clerks 3 came out, and when this came out in '04, social media was a little toddler rolling around in its own poo. Facebook was hardly getting started, YouTube, all that stuff. So beyond your own buddies, you really didn't know what everybody else was thinking. And so it's interesting as years pass that I see other YouTubers with their YouTube channels saying, the first time I ever heard about these guys was Clerks 2, and I thought it was great. And I was like, you did? Because the first thing I ever saw was Dogma, which ate every other thing's lunch. I mean, Dogma, that's Kevin Smith's opus, son. That's like Kevin Smith at his apex. And he's been farting out turds ever since. Oh, here it is. As if I knew I was going to do that. See? This is the shit. This is a fart. See the difference? I'm not. Again, there's some chuckles, there's some yucks, there's some good performances. Dante, Brian O'Halloran and Jeff Anderson as Dante and Riddle aren't great actors. No one's going to accuse them of that. But they're at home with these characters. These characters are written for them, and they just are these characters. And they do it. They play off each other so well. So there's some fun moments, but it leans too heavy on at post Dogma. Kevin Smith built such a cult of personality. He leans too heavy. So I'm in this weird world where it's like I want to revisit Clerks and Mallrats and Dogma, but when Kevin Smith's like, here's some of the old stuff, I'm like, you're going back to the well, you bastard. But that's what I want him to do. But I want him to do it the way I want him to do it. So I went back and watched it about a year later or something on its own merit, and I appreciated it more. So if you're a huge fan, like with Kevin Smith, he revisits themes, but here's Rosario Dawson and Trevor Moore. And now they're not at the quick stop, they're at the movies. And so it's just this odd thing where I'm like, I really want those awesome parts from the first films. And then he's like, well, I'm not doing that, but here's the shit you didn't, it wasn't as big a deal, but I'm making a bigger deal out of it. I'm not even supposed to be here today. Again, which has now become Take My Wife, Please. So he revisits the shit that wasn't that great. And doesn't bring back the best stuff. And then it's what the new, not attached to coming from the old stuff at all, is kind of hit and miss as to whether it works. So you end up this muddled mess of Rosario Dawson and Brian O'Halloran somehow made that relationship believable. So A plus to Rosario Dawson. Brian O'Halloran's a handsome fellow, but she's drop dead gorgeous. He's a working class schmuck. And that she would fall in love with this guy. That's a performance, kids. You want to know how to act? Ask that lady. Because it on paper doesn't make a lick of damn sense. She's the hottie from high school. He's the dump from the truck. Like that shouldn't sell in the least. They made it work. So there's some. I'm not a big fan of Clerks 2, but there are some redeeming elements to it. There's some likable things. So it's not the best. It's not the worst. Clerks 3 is the worst. The Tusk is which I still haven't seen. I should see it before I shit on it, and I shouldn't. Red State. I think Yoga Hosers is the worst. Yoga Hosers. Godspeed America. So, this was the beginning of the end. This is the we should have seen it coming. This was the red flag. It's this and Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back were some real C plus C minus stuff. This is a C plus. Jay and Bob is a C minus, and I don't know that he's had any B minuses since. But I do have the Yoga Hosers just looks like trash. I don't know if I can watch that movie. Tusk, I should give it a shot. I don't wanna. Red State, really? We're doing this? So, like everybody else, I miss the old young, hip, and with it Kevin Smith, and not so much a big fan of the woke preachy. I drank a shit ton of Kool-Aid Kevin Smith. Uh, you know, sometimes I wish he died with the heart attack. So that's it for White Guy Show. It's a C. It's a solid. It's a C minus. It's a C minus or a C, depending on how sentimental I feel about things. Um, and I really need to do. Where is it? I think it's over there somewhere. Um, Clerks cartoon. So yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.